There are a few things I like to consider theoretically before designing a training split. One of them is within the context of the workout itself. When you ask, like, what am I doing today? Just make sure whatever you're training gets high quality training if you pair it with whatever else you're training. Here's an example of when that does not happen. You do legs first, and then you do chest. For many people who are advanced and training hard, you know this. After legs, motherfucker, you ain't doing shit. You might be peeling yourself off the gym floor, the urine stain below you, maybe even a shit stain if you really squatted heavy. You're not doing anything but going home and eating and drinking and recovering. So legs and then chest just might not make any fucking sense. On the other hand, if you have something like biceps and legs, bicep training doesn't make you that fucked up. It's just not a very big muscle. It doesn't make you systemically tired. You can't do it after legs because you got nothing after legs, but you might be able to do it before. So maybe able to do biceps first, legs second. That's a workable split in and of itself. That's part one. So muscles need to gel well together. Here's another example. If you do back first and then legs after, can be done, but generally your lower back and mid back are now so tired, you're going to be all of your squats and good mornings, you're going to fold over because of your back, not your legs. You have fucked up a limiting factor. And now that's the really big problem. So as long as the exercises play well together and the muscle groups play well together, which is to say you can train everything you wanted hard and the muscle itself is limiting factor, there's no wrong answer. So when someone's like, is it cool to like train chest with back or is it chest with quads? Or hey, as long as you can fucking hit all the muscles hard, no wrong answers.
What should people do if they're not making progress?
The list technically of troubleshooting ideas is kind of infinite, but there are a couple of big picture items you really want to think through or talk through if you're struggling with the situation. With gaining muscle. One of them sounds very pedantic, but nonetheless is worthy of repetition. How do you know you're not gaining muscle? I had a very interesting interaction once on social media where this gentleman asked me, how come he can't gain weight even though he's eating a ton of calories? I looked at his calories, I looked at his body, and I was like, the fuck? And I was like, look, man, my number one suspicion is that you're not actually eating this much food consistently. He's like, dude, I'm telling you I am. Like, okay, fine, I believe you. I rule that out. It ended up being, after I thought about it for a bit and asked him a few more questions, he actually was gaining weight, just not as fast as he wanted. But there was like half a pound per week. It was totally fine. So his initial submission of I'm not gaining weight was wrong. But some people, when they tell you I'm really not putting on muscle size, go, how do you know that? There's only really one golden fleece way of figuring it out. Has your repetition strength in the exercises for that muscle group been going up over time, or has it been staying really steady? Let's say we're talking about back. How's your one-arm dumbbell row? How's your bent row? How's your cable row? How's your pull-ups? How's your pull-downs? If they're like, yeah, man, over last year, I've really put on fucking just tons of fucking strength onto them. Conversation over, motherfucker.
Where's it coming from?
Of course it's fucking muscle gain at some level. You can't get neural efficiency for that long. If you weigh 150 pounds, there's no way to maintain or maintain your way to 180. By the laws of physics, you have to gain weight. And the only way to gain weight is either strangely to reduce your physical activity, which most people won't do, or increase the amount of food coming in. So sometimes people will struggle with muscularity, younger folks, oftentimes males in their 20s, 30s, 40s, but yeah, man, I'm just not putting on size. I'd be like, how's your eating? And you just like, well, fucking, man.
Any sentence that begins with well.
Yeah, it's already off the cliff. My boss is riding my ass. I have a family.
I asked about your diet.
I didn't give a shit about your boss. You can fucking, while you're getting fired, you can eat a burrito. It doesn't matter.
Something else I've been thinking about during this conversation, which we haven't spoken about yet, motivation to train. Is that even a thing that's studied scientifically?
Yeah. There are a couple things to say about motivation. One is motivation itself is technically in the construct of adherence is just one of the parts of it. There's inspiration, there's motivation, there's habit, there is interaction between sort of willpower and all that Goggins shit, which is super valid in context. And then there's something called passion, which once you have a passion for something, you no longer ask questions of motivation. Like people ask me, like, what motivates you to go to the gym? I'm like, I'm addicted to going to the gym. It's like asking a crackhead, like, what's you do that, light up that rock? What? That's what I want to do, right? So there is a whole rich psychology around just the one part we call motivation. But that richness actually informs a lot of the things that it's a good idea to employ to increase your motivation. We're really trying to increase this adherence, try to make you get to the gym, make sure you get in there. How you get in there doesn't much matter. So one is having good sources of inspiration. If you surround your social media, if your feed has a lot of people who look like you kind of want to look a little bit like them, and they've got a lot of positive and encouraging shit to say and a can-do attitude, that's a good start. Now, it's not going to keep you in the gym, but it might get your ass in there on a fucking rainy day. Another thing is to set goals. Motivation is in many senses defined as the pull towards a goal. You get rid of a goal, you're technically not motivated to do shit. Like animals in a lab are motivated, goal-based, at least neurochemically. You could have Huberman on here, I'll tell it to you better, is oriented, even if the goal is equalize this amount of chemical between one brain cell and another. So if you have a goal of like, I want XYZ amount of reps on my lifts that's realistic, or even a motivation like I want to be able to tell myself I'm man enough to go to the gym 4 times a week every fucking day this year. That's my goal, a process goal instead of an outcome goal. That's a big deal. If you're goalless, if you're going to the gym for some very general construct like get fit or have abs or something you haven't really quantified in any way at all or really contextualized, it's easy to be like, It's like you have to be able to answer the question in your head of if you're sitting like you got home after work, tough day at the job, you sit down on your couch, you have to give yourself a reason to get up. If your reason is nebulous and like, I think fitness is something I told myself I do, you're not getting up. When push comes to shove, you're fucked up, beer, and you're done. But if you're like, I told myself, contract with myself, I'm going to fucking make it 4 times a week. Awesome. There is another part of this motivation thing that comes in with how easy are you making it on yourself? You don't want to have a big barrier to entry. Training partners help a lot. You sit down on the couch and your training partner fucking texts you and he's like, where are you at, pussy? You're fucking probably going to show up. If it's just you, it's going to be tougher. If your gym is 15 minutes away, you'll fucking do this in California traffic for 15 minutes. If it's 45 minutes away, holy fuck, that makes it really tough. Another thing is doing the kind of stuff at the gym you like. That's where the favorite exercises comes in. If you fucking can't wait to smash some deadlifts, hey, by all means, fuck that optimal shit. Go in there and get you some deadlifts. So there's a lot of stuff coming together. Another thing I will say, this is just my own little bullshit spin on it. This is a much richer conversation we could have in great depth. I want to put this in a way that's both charitable and sufficiently comedic to be expressive. If you have to ask how to get motivated to go to the gym, you don't need to be going to the gym. You don't want it enough. When you're sick and tired of looking and feeling like shit, you'll show up, motherfucker. I'll see you there because you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to be like, fuck that. You're going to want to be in the gym. And if you're going to make this a lifestyle, you have to lower the barriers, make the gym cheaper, closer, training partners, exercises you like, and you have to raise the impetus, goals, inspiration, and a fucking goddamn real desire to be there. If you are chronically underslept, I actually don't need to hear about your program or your diet. I don't give a shit because it's all just downhill. It's like telling me about how awesome your new fighter plane is, but I'm like, what kind of fuel are you using? You're like, we're supposed to put fuel in it? And I'm like, the fuck out of my face. You have to sleep. It's critical. It's the cornerstone of everything. How do you know you need enough? You're not getting enough sleep? If you can't stay awake throughout your day without like a medical dose of caffeine, you need to sleep more. Could be 9 hours for you consistently. Could be 6. Ronnie Coleman apparently slept 5 or 6 hours a night, more or less his whole life. Looks recovered to me, huge genetic differences there in sleep requisite, but you have to be getting enough sleep. So enough sleep, enough food, the training has to be sufficiently hard, and you have to recover. And then everything else is details. You could play with rep ranges, frequencies, so on and so forth. That's a troubleshooting list that's available on our YouTube channel. There's like an hour-long bullshit, but those are kind of the big pictures that I want to talk to people about.